Welcome back, everybody, to Irae Amantes Amentes. Here we are.
まさに悲劇。あなたをしたい、あなたが守るべき者たちがあなたのせいで死んでいく。あなたはそれを嘆き、喜び、自らの力へと変えるだろう。
Just so you guys get caught up, this is the end of World War II. Berlin has been attacked on its last days, and this guy and some other guys have these really weird powers. They're like really strong, and he's basically talking to like all the soldiers and stuff, and forcing them to end their lives for fuel his power source or something. So he's still talking to them, it looks like.
我が友、私がこの滑稽な人生でただ一人畏敬の念を抱いた獣ども。あなたはこれから何をなす？
The shade of a man who had remained silent until now finally spoke. Oh, it's the other guy.
あなたは一体何を求める？
Maybe?
愚問だな。法則の破壊と超越。私に道を示したのは K だろう。もっとも他に個人的興味がないでもないが。
それは一体？
法則を作ったもの。
なるほど。すなわち
God, or perhaps the devil. The shade chuckled, its lips widening into a smile.
私は優秀な生徒を得て幸せだ。鋭引回答を正しく理解しているのはやはり現状あなただけか。
The weak kite? What is that? I don't know. I don't know German, okay?
いや素晴らしい。この瞬間だけは何度経験しても飽きが来ない。それだけに正直名残惜しくもありますが。
行くのか、カイ。
Carl.
ええ、その名も置いていきましょう。いずれ必ず会えるはず。半世紀もすれば東方のシャンバラが完成する。そこに私の代理を用意するゆえ、下僕たちの遊び相手にでもすればよろしい。今回の契約であなたの魂は他に比類なき強度を得た。性質創造の思考も果たした以上、怒りの日までこちらにとどまる理由はありますまい。クリストフのこともある。万全を期すために幾人かあちらに連れて行ってはいかがです？
無論、元よりそのつもりだ。ザミエル、シュライバー、ベルリヒンゲン。
結構それは隙のない人選だ。というよりあの3人以外では今のあなたに随伴することなど叶わぬか。
Well, Schreiber was the kid, right? I bet those other two are those other characters that we saw. The two men exchanged words in a casual tone, perhaps reminiscent of two chess players contemplating their moves, even as scenery from hell spread out beneath them. It was apparent why the two of them would have been seen as brothers. They shared a certain air of resigned enlightenment, as if they presided from lofty heights lesser beings could not dream of reaching. No tragedy, no comedy, no creation under the sun would move them. Their laughter was no mere sneer, nor their actions merely the result of a frozen heart. Rather, they were worn down by time itself, imbued with the uncanny aura of an ancient sage. Gazing up at the two of them were roughly 10 others in military uniform, standing completely unscathed within the decaying capital of agony that was Berlin. They were the fangs and claws of their golden master, and among them, the three mentioned earlier surpassed even the rest. The crimson woman had tears of joy trickling down her face. In response to the honor of being chosen by her golden commander, her loyalty grew fiercer than ever. The silver-haired boy responded with a sulk, lamenting the temporary end of his carnage. For the moment, however, he vowed to acquiesce. The somber giant stood silent, seemingly oblivious to all but the shade he fixed his gaze upon. Worry not, your wish will be granted soon enough. I would appreciate it if you would not glare at me quite so forcefully. The specter of a man grinned, amused by the giant's electrifying gaze, before turning his attention to his golden brother once more.
ではまたいずれ、獣殿。再び我らがまみえる時こそ、互いの目的が成就すると祈りましょう。
いいな。成就させると誓うのだ。傍観するだけでは何もつかめない。K の悪い癖だな、彼。
確かに。であれば、ここに誓いましょうか。
The Totenkopf Empire had waged war against the world. Wait. The Totenkopf Empire that had waged war against the world had finally met its end. Whether it be true or not, it is an oft-repeated anecdote that Nazi Germany, in possession of some of the world's most advanced technology during this time period, had dabbled in obscene rituals behind the scenes in a pursuit of the secrets of black magic. What became of the demons brought forth by those experiments and all their diabolic relics? Their whereabouts would remain unknown, assuming they ever truly existed to begin with. Okay, so those super people were a product of the Nazis' experimentation into black magic, it seems. Ooh. And so, 6 long decades came and went. November 29th, 2006. Mount Fuji, Aokigahara, Sea of Trees. 3:27 a.m. The entire area was engulfed by crimson flames. A torrent of sheer energy had emerged from a nearby cave, mowing down trees and setting them ablaze. This place was a crevice in the fabric of space, a meeting point for the ley lines which spread across the earth like a net. A lone man emerged from the cave. He wore a rosary and a cassock, signaling his status as a holy member of the cloth. Indeed, the warm smile playing across his lips was what one would expect from a man of God. Yet could a man appearing in a place like this in the dead of night and merging alongside an inferno truly be a servant of the divine? And kneeling before him in servitude was a young woman with jet black hair. Are these the people? Like reborn or something? Her skin color and features clearly identified her as a native of this land. She spoke reverently, her face as expressionless as that of a statue.
Oh,
substitutes. Oh yeah, he mentioned substitutes. She summoned him.
いいえ。レオンハルト、あなたのことは覚えていますよ。キルヒアイゼン教の後を継がれた時は、まだほんの子供でしたが。
Man, the artwork in this game is amazing, isn't it?
そして強くなられましたね。
Lady Kurtrason?
恐縮です。
Unpleasant moaning could be heard echoing throughout the area. They were likely the souls of the men and women that had taken their own lives within this forest. The young woman paid them no heed even as they continued to make their presence known. The priest, in contrast, inhaled them all with affection, making them his own. Oh, is this that suicide forest? There's like a forest in Japan where a lot of people go to commit suicide for some weird reason. A blasphemous scene, an affront to all that was just. It was identical to the events of Berlin 61 years prior. Was this perhaps a continuation of what had begun that night? A priest with a voice that sang each word. Before him, a young woman offering nothing but the humblest of words. They exchanged a few greetings, but nothing of note. Trifles, such as how the priest had traveled from the other side of the earth by traversing its ley lines, and how the girl had altered his original path in order to lead him here. Apologies and explanations for her impudent action, as well as the reasons why the priest could not possibly journey there at the present time. All those were of secondary importance, unnecessary to discuss here. There was but one thing of value.
ではこれより共に戦の続きを始めましょうか。
That one crucial point, and that alone. That they were preparing to finally unveil to the world the supreme performance they had spent so many moons preparing. Now then, may the curtains of the Grand Gignol rise, slaughter, butcher, massacre till no more is left. Violate, conquer, and consecrate. Let there be victory, let there be conquest. And thus,
神、これを欲したも、忠誠こそ我が名誉。
they would repeat their struggle as many times as necessary. They would continue fighting to the very limits of time itself. They had sworn to do so, and so they were bound to carry out this task. The young woman's recital of the oath of their holy crusade was met by the priest's own blessings. And so, on that night, in that forest, the legion that had vowed to destroy the world began to stir, unbeknownst to any. Irae Amantes Amentes. Well, that was the prologue. I haven't even started the game yet. Alright. Oh, don't look at that. Spoilers. If only time could just stop. Solve all our problems, right? It was impossible to truly determine the single greatest moment of your life until you were looking back on things from your deathbed, of course. But I was sure everyone had wished for something similar, at least once. It was only human to wish for fun times to continue, to want to relive a moment of glory. It felt only human to wish to hang on to the here and now. Even should its brilliance eventually fade, it'd still be losing it. The known was comforting. The unknown, however, terrifying. Everyone must have experienced that sort of anxiety before, especially students like me. It was hardly unusual to experience this sort of feeling. After all, we were at the part of our lives where we had to start thinking about college, getting a job, and just the future in general. We were in the uneasy transition period between childhood and adulthood, so it felt only natural we'd start obsessing with the mundane. One could call it living for the moment, a kind of escapism that arose, when you didn't really have both feet on the ground, And for better or worse, it was the sort of infection that didn't really do anyone any harm. You could just write it off as just another facet of youth. But I didn't want to ever get over this particular strain of measles myself. After all, my life up until this point had been more than comfortable. It might have been a boring, commonplace one, but I was fine with it continuing that way forever. If time flew when you were having fun, then the solution was simply not to have fun in the first place. It was best to steer away from the unknown and stick to the default path. Who knew what sort of trouble you might encounter on the road less traveled by? I was enamored enough of my current environment to actually entertain, more than just entertain in fact, ridiculous notions like that. To turn one's back on the unknown and seek only the known, you could describe it as playing a game, while looking at a walkthrough. That was my, Ren Fuji's way of life. Always had been, and hopefully always would be. Just so you know about this game, as you could tell, there were different routes. I think those are. This is like the new story here. This is like the free part, and the other routes, I believe, are DLC that you can buy. There, you get 2 routes, I think, for $20 each. As in, you pay $20, you get 2 routes, and then there's like two sets of DLC that I saw. Apparently, there's a way to play the game. You have to go certain routes, otherwise you won't. The story, I guess, kind of doesn't make complete sense. I forget what the route order is, but, you know, I won't have to worry about that for some time, hopefully. So, let's continue on. I figured that I could keep my internal sense of time set on slow if I kept up this line of thinking. Stopping time completely was impossible, after all, so you could consider this philosophy of mine to be a kind of compromise, the closest possible realistic approach. I thought that I understood. That nothing lasted forever. That something being finite meant that its end could come at any time.
じゃあお前、例えば自分の人生を小説だと考えてみろ。
Up until the day where he had to go and say that.
漫画でもゲームでも何でもいいが、とにかく一人称語りで進む長編だ。自分をその主人公だと考えろ。
Okay, everyone do this now. Pretend you're the protagonist of your story, because you are, in a way. Everyone else is just a side character. A story that continues from the cradle to the grave, an epic saga that details each and every event and person that comes into your life, from the minute to the monumental. Think of life as something like that, he said.
そこで質問。今自分が綴ってる小説は実際のとこ面白いのか？主人公としてお前はキャラが立ってるのか？
Would you read a book about you? I guess the greatest accomplishment in life you could do is make a book about you worth reading. As far as back as I could remember, Shrew had a habit of suddenly going on and on about that shit that doesn't make any sense like this, of course. Most of the time, it was just trying to get a rise out of me.
文法が怪しいとか語彙が貧弱だとかそういうスキルのこと言ってんじゃない。ただドラマとして売りになりそうな花なりトゲなり毒なりを持っているか。さらに同じジャンルを囲った中でも抜きん出ている何かがあるか。自分がやらなくても他の誰かがやるような人生なら生き続ける意味はない。こんなところやそんなところで誰でもできるようなジャンルやっててもしゃあないだろ。連れとだべってバカやって女作ったり部活やったり悪くはないけど珍しくもない。そんなの日本中の同年代がリアルタイムで経験してる。俺は別に数が多いことをバカにしてるわけじゃないぜ。要はそれだけ選びやすい道だってことを言いたいのさ。選択肢があるように見せかけて実は人生一本道なのかもしれないってな。
Whoa, that's too deep for me, man. It's way too early in the morning for that. In other words, what if we're not choosing, but instead being made to choose? You know, what if there really is no choice?
少なくともこの国じゃ最大公約数が強いだろ。出る杭は打たれる、天才は孤独、はぶられるバカ、いじめかっこ悪い。なんでもいいがよ。まあそれは現実的な解釈で理屈つけた場合の話で。
That's a neat uniform.
俺はなんていうかな。
デジャブ。
デジャブるんだよ。これ、前にもやったんじゃねえのかなって。楽しくないんだ。新鮮味がない。前にも読んだことある気がするんだ。この話。
You want to make it exciting?
だから、お前、
With what?
フラグ立てとフラグ折りさ。
And what was that supposed to?
言ってもわかんねえかもしれねえな。だってお前、好きだろそれ。何もかもが基地の範疇。1から10まで同じことを生まれて死ぬまで繰り返したい。そんな変人、他に知らんし。そもそも、俺の話に出てくるお前は、なんかずれてるトリックスターみたいなもんなんだよ。
I could have said the same about him myself. Shiro was the sort of guy who was impossible to read, impossible to get a handle on. He certainly wasn't the type of character who should have been appearing in my story. So why did it sometimes feel like he was a central figure in it? If we were going with the whole novel analogy, Shiro was a misprint.
そんなお前をここでどかせば、話が変わってくるかもしれない。
Maybe?
な顔すんなよ。お前だってわかるだろ。俺らはお互いガキの頃にいろんなもんから弾かれてる。本来なら気楽に学園ドラマやってられるような身分じゃないんだ。そしてだからこそ今までそれをやってきた。なのにデジャブが止まらない。挫折もんだよ。泣きたくなる。だから根性なくて悪いけどよ。俺は抜けるぜ。もう付き合わねえ。人生は短い。エンディングが来る前に選択肢の総当たりをやらせてくれ。この一本道、絶対どこかに別ルートがあるはずだ。俺はそれを探したい。結果がたとえバッドエンド一直線でも。
If it's something new, it's worth checking out either way.
だったらここでお前と切れるってのもなかなか面白いと思うだろ。
I'd gotten sick of that grin on his face long ago. It was the sort of expression that seemed to say he had nary a care in the world. Fitting, really. That was how I knew that nothing I said would get through to him. He's already made up his mind. Not like I knew what he was going on about in the first place, really. But one thing was for certain. Shiru's genre, or whatever, was about to diverge completely from my own.
死んだら化けて出てくれよ。俺まだ幽霊見たことねえし。
So I was prepared for what came next. Fistfights normally can't go too far. After all, you'd be using your actual hands and feet as weapons. If they got fucked up, you were done. It only made sense to call it a draw when you ran out of ammo, so to speak. But Shiro and I were a little too stupid to let something like that stop us. Couldn't even really call it a fight. We were both just trying to obliterate each other, plain and simple. There was enough blood pouring down my face to make it seem like I was viewing the world through a red veil. We smacked each other around so much that our hands themselves broke. We even had bones poking out of our skin. But we just kept at it. My eardrums had shattered long ago. I was lost in a world of noise and violence. My shoulder had dislocated itself. My chin was split in two. My ribs were bent and broken, piercing various organs, internal organs for good measure. Here I was, hacking up blood like it was going out of style, but Shiro seemed to be having the time of his life. I couldn't focus on anything but the way he exploded with laughter. Why did it end up like this? Why did he need to take it this far?
だから言ってもわかんねえって。ただこの町に住んでいたら。
I couldn't remember what he said after that, no matter how hard I tried. All I knew was that we continued brutalizing each other until our bodies ceased to function. It wasn't a matter of one of us deciding to surrender or passing out or whatever. We just quite literally ran out of batteries. We had both taken too much abuse to keep our bodies going with sheer willpower alone. It was no laughing matter. Our battered bodies were just lying there on the rooftop, drowning in a pool of our own blood. We probably would have died if no one had found us, but what did Shiru say? Seriously, how the fuck could he act like it was some sort of game? Listen to me, dumbass. Don't act like you've triumphed over me, like you've gone to the next level or whatever. Me? Come at you? Give me a huge fucking break. You're the one who needs to crawl out of the gutter and come at me, shithead. Left cheekbones, upper jawbones, lower jawbone, right eye fundus, nasal bones, all varying degrees of fractured. Left collarbone, completely fractured. Upper left carpus and middle left hand bones, completely fractured. Right shoulder dislocated, right ulna, metacarpus, and carpal bones completely fractured. Ribs number 3 and 4 of the right rib cage completely fractured. Ribs 5 and 6 of the right rib cage, compound fractures. Ribs 4 and 6 of the left rib cage completely fractured. Ribs 7 and 8 of the left rib cage, compound fractures. Right femur partially fractured. Right tibia, left fibula, both metatarsals completely fractured, not to mention all the various sprains, bruises, cuts, and lacerations. In total, I had damaged 48 distinct locations. If you listed it out like that, it sounded like I got in a fight with a dump truck or something. I was surprised I even made it to the hospital in one piece. To be honest, though, I would have been okay with dying. Now, it wasn't that I had no regrets. I had kind of just reached this zen state. Like, you know, if I was going to die, so be it. You know, maybe it would be better to say that I just stopped caring. That fight had been enough excitement for one lifetime. I lost the will to do anything, barely paying attention to the world around me. I stopped giving a shit about myself either way. Despite my rather unhealthy mental state, my body recovered quickly enough to shock even the doctors attending me. More than a little ironic. Honestly, there was a part of me that wanted to laze around in the hospital a little longer. But I suppose there simply weren't enough beds to keep someone fully recovered lying around forever. The hospital staff told me that I need to get out of here if I was well enough to be walking around. I really had no choice in the matter. I wasn't a fan of the idea of someone who actually needed care being turned away because of my selfishness. It was for the best that I complied with the staff's request. Regardless of my feelings, the world around me kept on turning. They said that time stopped for no man after all. No turning back. What was done was done. Right now, the important thing was thinking about what would come next. It didn't matter whether or not I was capable of doing it. I had to face the fact that it was necessary, period. That was the only way I would ever be able to move forward. So I decided to walk out of there with a smile on my face, one way or another. I headed back to my room to pick up my things after taking care of the checkout procedure. Of course, the only real personal effects I had brought with me were some changes of clothes and an MD player. I had spent 2 months in this hospital room, but I figured cleaning it up would probably only take around 5 minutes. It ended up taking 10, but hey, you know, same difference. The extra 5 are a result of having to clean up all the junk that Kasumi brought in while visiting. There are various comics, novels, and even adult magazines. I don't know what the hell she was thinking with these, scattered all over the place. More than a dozen in total. Rather than dealing with them myself, I decided to just send them all back to her place.
じゃあ皆さん、お大事に。いや、あいつは今頃学校ですよ。来るとうるさくなるんで、一足先に。って、そうですか？変な趣味してますね。
The other patients in the same room made sure to get in a few last lighthearted jabs. I was never really good at dealing with situations like this. I doubt anyone would call me the sociable type. But thanks to Kasumi, the other patients would often strike up conversations with me. It would be awkward to just ignore them completely, after all. My responses were always half-assed, but they didn't seem to mind. Hospitals generally had a gloomy atmosphere about them, so it was only natural that someone cheery like Kasumi would draw attention.
ならあいつの進路に看護師って選択も入れるように言っときますよ。
Took my bag and turned to leave. But at that moment...
白ですか?
Shiro, being just messed up as I was, had also been taken to this hospital. The bastard disappeared 3 days after his surgery and hadn't been here since.
知らないです。
Where'd he go?
あいつがどこで何してようと、俺には関係あ
we
りま
don't
せん。
care. We don't care about ourselves, why would we care about him, right? Exactly. What Shiro was up to was none of my business. I need to stop worrying about his bullshit.
じゃあ
Stepped out of the hospital room, putting it all behind me once and for all. It had been months since I last had been outside of the hospital. The vast blue sky spread out invitingly above me. In the 2 months I had been hospitalized, autumn had turned to winter. I suddenly became curious as to whether they were already putting up Christmas decorations downtown.
まあ遠回りなわけでもないし
I decided it might be fun to experience my own version of the whole Rip Van Winkle experience. I needed a change of pace from the dull scenery I had been stuck staring at from the hospital window anyway. Maybe this would help me get back in the swing of things. Maybe.
って思ってたんだけどな
Or so I thought. Unfortunately, even downtown, there was but the barest trace of the Christmas spirit I had been expecting. It made me realize again just how laid back Suihara City really was. Suihara was built back around the time of World War II. Despite being in an isolated location, it was nevertheless fairly prosperous thanks to efforts on the part of the big shots in charge of the place. What Suihara lacked in history and tradition, it made up for in tourist attractions. There were any number of facilities to draw in crowds, such as an amusement park that was famous nationwide. You could call it a small-town success story. Of course, I only moved there 2 years ago myself, so I wasn't really one to talk. I was definitely a fan of the landscape and general atmosphere of the city, though. It seemed like a hectic place at first glance, but things moved slower in Suihara than one might think. And once you got used to it, it was as relaxing as a baby's cradle. Of course, most people would tell you the exact opposite, that Suihara was a lively place with a bustling atmosphere. But I did know a few other people who agreed with my assessment, such as Himuro and Shiru. Wasn't like you could say that either line of thinking was right or wrong, though. And I didn't feel like trying to argue with people who disagreed. Live and let live, I guess. Anyway, my first foray into the city in 2 months didn't end up changing my impression of it much.
帰るか
In the end, I just came to the boring conclusion that, well, it was the same city as ever. And right as I was about to head back... Oh, what happened? We're gonna find out on Monday. Hope you all have a good weekend, and I hope you're all enjoying these, Irae. If you are, leave a like and subscribe for more videos. Have a good weekend.